Nushy Rose.
And I'm Sophie Hannah, and I want to welcome you to episode 74 of Ethnically Speaking, the show where we discuss everything affecting the UK's highly melanated communities, from current affairs to pop culture and everything in between. Now, you know we always keep it 100, and today we're talking about the relationship we have with our parents. Now, in a recent interview, Michelle Obama talked about the changing dynamics of her relationship with her daughters, Malia and Sasha, saying that they have gone from a traditional parent-child relationship dynamic to one of peer-to-peer. I want to know, has your relationship with your parents changed as you've gotten older? If so, why do you think that is? And do you actually want your mother and father to be your friend, or do you want them to stick at being your parents?
So, I was trying to think about this and try and look at like how my relationship with my parents has changed obviously over time. And I think my mum has strived to be a friend to me all my life. And in her mind, so she will describe me to her friends and to my friends too as her best friend. And then she'll give me this look, and I know I'm meant to reply in the same way. Do I always agree? Like, do I always feel it when I say it? No. But that is our relationship, and we're extremely close as a result. So I was trying to think, okay, what is friendship? What makes a parental relationship, for example, different to one you have with your friends? And on one level, which I guess is how I was trying to think about it in these terms, I was like, okay, with your friends, you will happily go to the theatre, go to the cinema, go out for lunch, go out for dinner, do things like extracurriculars, like your home environment, that aren't functional. Because I guess a lot of what the parent-child relationship is doing things for each other to make each other's lives easier, but it's not recreational. You're not doing it for enjoyment, you're doing it for responsibility. And so I was thinking, actually, like in that sense, I've always done that with my mom. Like I'm extremely close with her. Since I was a kid, we've always done those things. When I guess when I went to university and things and I wasn't in London, we didn't do those things so much. But even now, like in the years since, if I am like going to see a play and like I've just got one ticket, I'll say get one for yourself, or I'll get you one. Or if we both like the same film or something like that. And so, especially over lockdown, I think I realized how fortunate I was because I spent a lot of my time with my mum. And I was like, actually, of all the partners you could have, people you could have to spend time with in this period, I'm actually quite lucky because we do enjoy each other's company. So I don't know if that's friendship, but in terms of like the power dynamic, I don't think it's ever been straightforward. I think it's always been a mix of the two, and I think that sustains now as well.
Mm-hmm. No, that's really interesting. I think for me, there's definitely been a transition. I definitely see it more as the Michelle Obama kind of template in terms of my mum and my dad were very much my mum and my dad in terms of the idea of responsibility and being my main caregivers. And then as I've gotten older, the relationship with my mum has transitioned to one of friends. More so than I would say mother and child, but there are times where, like the other day, I was very upset about something and I called my mum, like, Mum, this and this happened. What should I do? So there are times when I tap into that mother and child. I'm like, Mum, give me some advice. What is the best thing? Like, I need some comfort. I need some reassurance. So, but I would say it kind of veers towards friend and friend. And I think that it's really important for that to happen. I think that parents should be raising children who are going to become their peers. I think for me, in fact, no, I think that's my opinion. Everyone might not feel like that. But I think for me, it's important for children to transition into becoming adults, and I'm seeing them as an adult and treating them as an adult. That doesn't negate the fact that, they should still show respect and be respectful to me as a parent. But I would want my children to be independent and think for themselves and have opinions of their own, and opinions that might not agree with mine, but that's a part of them growing up and becoming an adult. So I think it's very important for that transition to happen. And I think it's probably much more dependent on the parent than on the child. The parent has to be willing to start to see their child as not just a child, but as an adult, to not just negate what their child's thoughts or feelings or actions are, and respect them as this is an adult making a decision, not this is my child who should be doing better and I'm going to tell them how to.
Mm. Like, I also do agree with this. And then I guess the other way I've been thinking about this is my mum and I, for example, have like a very strong like conversational relationship, extracurricular relationship. And yet the thing that I would say makes it not peer to peer is whenever I see her, she might critique my outfit. If she thinks that, say for example, I put on a lot of weight over lockdown, I'm still wearing my old clothes. She might mention, oh, like that's not very flattering. Or, whatever I'm doing at work, she might mention, why don't you do this instead? There'll be like a sort of, not critique, but suggestions on how to, which I value, how I could potentially be doing better, or ways that I could deal with situations without, it's like unsolicited advice on aspects of my life, which I think makes that kind of distinction between a friendship and a parent-child friendship. Because I think often with friends, like they wait for you to ask, or they'll suggest things in a less kind of way that suggests that they're right, that they have some kind of sense of ownership over you. And I think I think inevitably in a parent-child relationship, even when you're super close, there will be that sense of responsibility or I guess like territorialness that they hold over you. For example, if like a relationship goes wrong, I feel like the wrath of a parent is very different to the wrath of a friend. And like, like in the past, my mom has hated some of my ex-boyfriends, and she will make it clear. Like my grandmother as well. Like my grandmother is effectively one of my parents. We'll have gone out for dinner or lunch with like one of my exes. She won't even speak to them. She'll do this the whole time. That this person at the table, and like I thought a friend would do that. Because they have so much love for you, even though they talk to you as equals. There'll be situations where they will still jump in or behave in a way that a friend, like you cut them off if they did that. But you're much more understanding if it's your parent or family member.
Do you know, that's really interesting, and I guess it makes me really appreciative of my parents, because I think I'm probably much more demanding of my mum, like, why are you doing that? You shouldn't be doing that. Mum, don't do that. That's not the right decision. I'm a control freak, obviously. My mum doesn't really do that to me anymore. She does make the weight comments, like, which I hate. But she doesn't really, she'll always say, did you want advice on that? Did you want me to offer a suggestion? Like, she very much is very aware of that in terms of asking. Whereas my dad, I think my dad and myself, I think I probably see that much more as parent and child, because I'm not really sure. I think our generations are so far apart. My dad, because he was like 20 years older than my mum, so he's like in his 80s. Like the generations were so far apart that I just feel there's probably an intergenerational difference, and I have a lot of respect for my dad, and I think that I still very much see him as, I see myself as his child and fitting into that role. And not wanting to disappoint him or let him down, even though he doesn't really act like that. He is very, very quiet about the decisions in my life, if I'm being honest. He won't really share his opinion on them. It's very much like, it's your decision now. You have to make that decision. And I feel myself sometimes like, but what do you think? Like, what do you think I should do? So yeah, I think it's really interesting. But do you think that the dynamics in a relationship between a parent and a child can change or can't change if the child never moves out of the home?
So, you know what? I think if you're in your parents' house, whether you're living there or if you're visiting, the dynamic is never going to be equal. Because I think there's always that thing where you revert back to your, sorry, this isn't on the parent. I know it myself. I revert back to like my child self. So like, I think my mother is a very nostalgic person also. So like, say I go over and she's had like some friends over for lunch in the garden, no more than 6. But she'll always bring up memories of like my childhood and be like, oh, I remember. Do you remember when I used to make you perform poetry for the guests and like hold some chocolate out? Oh, you always loved chocolate. I like things like this. And so she'll bring up memories of me as a kid. And like she's doing it because, she always says, and I think this is true. As I say, I'm not a parent, I don't know. But I assume that you always see your progeny as in all the different stages of their life when you see them. And so I guess when you're in that place where you grew up, surrounded by, for example, family or family friends who you've grown up with, like it's an environment that lends itself to you being treated or you behaving in a certain way. And that's not to say like you're not going to help out, you're not going to help cook, you're not going to make the drinks, you're not going to clean. It's not saying any of that, which I guess is like the distinction, but you almost like fall back into those. I definitely do fall back into those patterns. But then I think about like I think my relationship with my dad, for example, has definitely changed. Like, I would never say that we had ever had like I don't think we ever had like a friendship in the sense. It was always like very much like parent child. But I think when I was sort of around, I think when I was quite young, I seemed like an adult to him. And so I think as I've now become an actual adult for quite a long time now, our relationship is very regimented. We'll see each other twice a year. He'll take me for dinner. I'll take him for drinks. And then like we, say goodbye or whatever. And so I guess that kind of formality of our relationship is a friendship in a sense. It's slightly awkward, but it's much more of a friendship than like a parent-child. But then was it always like that? I don't know. I guess like in a way, no. But I think that evolution or how it's got to that point is more to do with me, I guess, like growing up, his other kids growing up. And so I think it's both of us have like had these other processes where other changes in our lives have forced us to change our perspectives on each other, on what family means, on all those different things. I don't think it's to do with us seeing each other as equals necessarily, as us changing due to other circumstances. I know it's really vague, but yeah. So I guess it does depend completely on that evolution, how close you are in the first place, and actually what your life looks like too.
Yeah, I think that's definitely the case, and I think my relationship with my dad has definitely changed and gotten better over the years. I think just because taking the divorce really hard, I think that affected mine and my dad's relationship, and probably me picking a side as a child. Do you know what I mean? And not even realizing that's what you're doing. But I was staying in the home with my mum, and then having that kind of broken home and kind of growing up into that. And I think I'm really, really grateful that my dad has always just been the most consistent man in my life. Now, apart from my husband, just the most consistent. He was at everything. He came to every parents' evening, every recital, every choir that I sang at, every sports day, everything. He came to everything, even when I was feeling very tense and angry about the divorce. And I'm really, really grateful that now we've gotten to a point where I've been able to let those things go and actually really enjoy my dad. And I'm really grateful because he's so old. I'm really grateful to God that he didn't die before I've been able to actually let those things go and realize that I was carrying a lot of pain, and to really understand the wonderful man who he is, who's just been so consistent in my life and is consistent in his grandchildren's life. He's just a really great guy. But that all being said, I would never talk to him about relationships. Probably not never. My dad didn't meet any boyfriends until my husband. He didn't meet none of them. None. He didn't meet any of them. As far as he was aware, I had no boyfriends until my husband. Because he's older and Caribbean, I'm just he don't need to be seeing a rotating door of boyfriends. I don't think it'd be good for his mind, the things he'd be thinking. So he just never met anyone until I was like, Dad, I've met somebody. He was just like, okay. And I guess he knew that this one was serious.
See, okay, so this is very interesting because with my dad, we only talk about stuff like relationships.
Oh, really? How deep do you go?
I mean, not like granular detail of what I got up to, but it's more and then, no wonder he only tries to see me twice a year. No more of this. But yeah, all we speak about really, it will be work. So he'll send me some of his articles. He's a journalist. I'll maybe send him Ethnically Speaking or something else. And it's very much it's sort of it's super formal in that way. But when we do sort of get deep, it will literally always be about men. Always. And he'll be like, what about this guy you were dating before? He seemed nice. What happened to him? What happened to him? What happened to him? And he just has a very, I mean, and that's sort of like how we communicate. And then, you know what, yeah? I was also thinking recently, like maybe the reason he does this. So I was reading this book. I can't remember what the book was, but it was about the psychology of like male guilt. And because I think, not for any terrible reason or anything, but I think, you know, my dad and I have always had quite a sort of difficult relationship in certain ways. And I was like, you know, and it's not because there's no love there, it's because we can't communicate, right? So I was like, maybe like he sees each of these men as like this standard bearer because he has this old fashioned like understanding of what it is to be a woman and what it is to be a man who looks after the women. And so he focuses on this aspect of my life because to him, as soon as I have this person, then it's almost like the allaying of the guilt. Like it's kind of like for whatever he carries this thing, that's why, you know. But then it's not like it's in date. Like my mum and I all discuss. Like she's very critical of some aspects of my life, but when it comes to dating, I mean, as I said, like it's the worst because obviously she'll meet a lot of these people, and if she doesn't like them, like you know, like a lot of people actually cover my breakups. You know, they're like, why is your mum cold to me? I mean, obviously one of them I was like, you robbed her, you stole, you drank her wine cabinet. I was like, that's why she doesn't like you, and like so on and so on and so on. And she will also school me on stuff. She'll be like to me, and she's always right. She'll say to me, you know, I had back to back 3 relationships, and she was like, he's lost interest in you. Another guy, she said to me, he's cheating on you, just so you know. And I said, what? And she goes, he's cheating on you. She's like, you can see it, guilt all over his face. That night, we were about to go to sleep, and I said to him, I said, look, this is really weird, but, and my mom said to me, don't ask him. She said, don't ask him anything. She's like, the man tries to be an honest man, but he, if you ask him, he won't tell you. You need to give him the space. She said, lay the groundwork. I thought she was crazy, okay? We're going to sleep. And then like, okay, good night. I was like, oh, like, what else have you been up to? Like these really basic questions. Wait a sec. And my phone is somehow, woo. Yeah, there we go. So my mum said to me, he's cheating on you. I said, how do you know this? So I laid these basic groundwork things while we're there. And he says, look, babe, I used to say something to you. I feel really guilty. Actually, while you were on holiday, I reconnected with Tanya. And I was like, Tanya? This was his ex-girlfriend who he'd been with like a year before. And he's like, yeah, what I realized is that actually I'm in love with 2 people, you and Tanya. So what I was thinking was we can be in an open relationship. And I was like, dun, 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 dun. And I was like, no. I was like, look, I'm all for, I honestly, I promote, I'm happy for people to live the lives they want. I'm pro any of these types of arrangements if that's what's right for you. That is 100% that is not right for me. Like, and so anyway, so that was that. But the point being, because she, you know, I think a lot of parents wouldn't have been able to say that to their child. And she knew, she could sense it, and she gave me that advice, and actually like it saved me from, I guess, being cheated on for even longer. Obviously I was like, it's the end. So yeah.
Nushy, can I ask a question? Do you what is your choice in men?
My choice in men is so bad. And this is why.
I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it, but these sound like some very questionable characters. They stole from your mom. They drank from her wine. They were cheating and went to an open relation. The guy who ate the meal and like you paid for it. I feel like you deserve the goodness that you are. That's what I think.
Thank you. So who do you have for me?
I don't know no one single. That's the point, Nushy. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really believe men and women can be friends. That's my thing. Do you know what I mean? So I don't have a lot of male friends. That's where I'm at. So I unfortunately cannot recommend anyone to you. My husband's friends are all pastors and they're all married. That's okay. So they're all married as well. All of them are married. He was one of the last ones to get married amongst his friends. So my hands are kind of empty in terms of giving. But I just feel like these sound like some very special cases. Like I can talk to my mum about relationships, and like my mum can get a bit too inner, to be honest. Like the sort of thing where she's never gonna watch this, but she'll be like, how is your sex life? I need to know that my daughters are being looked I need to know that my daughters are being looked after. Like stuff, and I'm just like, no one's talking to you about that. So we're not gonna have that conversation. But if I wanted to talk to her about it, I could, and she'd probably have some recommendations of you should read this, and have you tried this, and this is what, like, she will go there. And yes, you're like how do people have sex when they're pregnant? Sophie, there's ways. I'm just like, do you know what? I don't even want to know the end of that conversation. I'm good, thank you. So I think this is something that I read that you have to be very aware of, is that when you have this friendship with your parent, you have to be mindful that your parent might treat you like a friend, and they might tell you stuff you're like, I actually don't want to know that. I don't want to know that messy information about your life. I don't want to see your character defects. I don't want to see these sorts of stuff. But that's what comes along with the friendship.
I mean, you know what? I'm hesitant because my mom actually does watch every episode of the show.
Yeah.
But I would say, so does my grandmother. But I would say that what you just described, my mother is very open about such details, whether it's about my father or others, from her past. My mom used to present a sex show on late night TV as a presenter, not as a guest.
A participant? Is that what you're going to say? Why does the sex show not surprise me whatsoever? That doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me. We love you, Mum.
Like, oh no. Actually, I'll tell you a story. Again, it's a completely off topic, but my mum was once on a date maybe like 15 years ago or something. And anyway, like with this guy, and anyway, they go to this like nice restaurant in central London, and they take their coats. And this woman at the cloakroom kept being like, "Oh, I think I know you from somewhere. I know you from somewhere." And my mom was like, "No, you don't. She's like, "I do." She's like, "I think you're the one that saved my marriage." And my mom was on a first date with this guy. Obviously, was going to bring this up, So she's like, "Look, please, let me be." And anyway, they get to the table, and this woman goes to her, It's you off the erogenous zone." And mum was like, and her date was like, "Woo!" Like he was like, "Oh, what's the erogenous zone? Like, it sounds great. Tell me more." Tell me more.
He knows what the erogenous zone is. He knows what that is. Oh my days. Oh.
Yeah, like literally, he's like, "Oh, like what is it?" Like and he goes, "Oh, it saved my marriage. We were on the rocks. We were on the rocks." And watched her tips. Sharma, isn't it? What's your tips? So useful. Now, you can't believe it. And anyway, obviously, like end of this date, the guy's obviously excited by what this lady has said. And my mum was like, obviously, it was too embarrassing. She couldn't like leave it. But my mom was telling me stuff like this from like when I was she's so open. When I was a kid, I like, she found cigarettes in my bag, and I was like 12 or something. And she gave me this talk, and she was like, "Why do you have to smoke? Why can't you just go out and have sex?" She's like, "Smoking kills. Like, sex will just make you happy." And I was like, "Mom, you sent me to a girls' school. I was like, I'm morbidly obese. I was like, all I do is spend time with you." I was like, "I would love to have sex." I was like, "But how are you expecting me?" I was like, "Where am I going to find it?" And like, she's like, "Oh, trust me, give me all these details and stuff." Then there was the time when she drew me the graphic pencil drawing of a vagina. Anyway, but she just and tried to explain to me, when you do have sex, this is what you need to show him, this drawing. And like this, and I was just like, so my mom has almost been like too open my entire life. And I do value it. But as I say, so coming back to, I guess, the main point, has our relationship changed? No, she's always been that way.
I just want to say, sex can kill too. I just want to put that out there. Make sure you're strapping up, people. If you don't know them, be safe. Sex kills just like cigarettes.
Yes, it's very true. Nothing is safe. Just as well I don't have it anymore.
Oh my days. It sounds like both of our mothers are one of a kind who are out
They
here.
must never meet.
No, they can't. They can't meet because, boy, yeah, I remember. Oof, there, just the thought of it.
Tell me.
Mercy. Anyways, I think we have nicely come to the end of today's episode. Any more in our family are going to disown us because we're going to be sharing their secrets. But we want to say thank you for watching and listening to Ethnically Speaking. But let's keep the conversation going. We want to know, has your relationship with your parents changed as you've gotten older? Let us know your answers down below in the comments. And if you want a summary of everything we've talked about today, head on over to unitedmelaningroup.com/ES074. The link will be in the description. And if you've been watching us on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, give us a thumbs up and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single thing. We're going to be seeing you again on Friday with a brand new Ethnically Speaking episode. But until then, make sure you wear your mask, wash your hands, keep your distance, stay safe and stay friends with your family.